Welcome to our house party. It's going to be a really fun night because politics is fun. And I'm sure as you've seen on social media, everyone from the campaign to Indivisible to other progressive organizations are all coming together around this central call to action this week, which is have a party. How great is that? A party to watch the convention or the debate. You can host a fundraiser, a voter registration drive, especially if you're in a swing state. So our challenge to you all this week, moving forward, is to get off Zoom and get into real life. These Zoom calls are great and they are super important, but getting in the same room and looking at your fall calendars together and making a plan to vote and a plan to volunteer and helping each other figure out how to message to friends and family and neighbors is where the real magic happens. And that's the energy we need to swing this election. So this is kind of our kickoff to house parties. We have the chat on, so go ahead and introduce yourself, say where you're from, why you're excited to be here at our virtual house party. And then as we get into the speakers, we'll be turning the chat off, but it's so fun to see all of you from all over. Oh, I just saw Chicago. What's up? So last week we challenged you to, in the words of Leslie Knope, go find your team and get to work. And you guys understood the assignment. 479 all in for Harris action teams registered as a result of last week's call. And that number blew me away. Many of these action team leaders have already met with Indivisible's organizing staff to build plans for the next 12 weeks, from writing letters or making phone calls, knocking doors. Our teams range from everything from new political activists to seasoned organizers and a number of multitasking experts, moms. And geographically, these teams are distributed all across the country, and almost half are in a battleground area, meaning either a presidential battleground state, or they have abortion on the ballot, they have a priority Senate race or a competitive House race. So that's so vitally important to have them in that area. And if you haven't already, register your team. Sarah will put the link in the chat for you. Talk to your organizer, start planning how your team will contact voters, and help get Vice President Harris and Coach Walz over the finish line. So tonight, as we said, is all about making politics fun and personal and part of your everyday life. If growing up you were told don't talk politics at the dinner table or never say who you're voting for at a party, we're here to tell you that it's not only okay, but desperately needed. And we're going to cover how to have a house party, how to make politics fun. There are games, there are drinks, and most importantly, what we're going to cover tonight is what to talk about and how to make sure you don't start like one of those book clubs where you never talk about the book. Kamala Harris is the book, and we need you to talk about her, and we need you to make it fun and personal. And our first guest is someone that when Shannon Watts and I were brainstorming who we'd invite to our dream political house party, he was at the tippity top of that list. So please welcome George Hahn. He is an actor, writer, the most stylish, as he says, thousandaire in New York City. And following along on your Instagram walks through the Upper East Side while you talk politics and pop culture is like having a coffee catch up with my long lost friend. So thanks for being here tonight, and thank you for making politics fun.
Liz, this is such a treat. Thank you so much for asking. You said party, I said sure, just tell me where. And this is my first sort of fundraiser Zoom. I did attend not as a speaker, but just as an attendee. I did attend the White Dudes for Kamala, but you are for Harris, pardon me. But you, as soon as you mentioned this, as soon as Shannon reached out to me, actually, I thought about the fun of getting groups together. I love talking politics. Politics has been part of my life, certainly since the last 4 years, a big part of my life, actually. Not something we necessarily talked about at the dinner table growing up, but I am particularly right now so invigorated. I don't know about everybody else, but like I have had so many people asking me, like kind of pulling me aside and wanting to tug my ear. How do you feel? It happened to me today. I went to go get a haircut, And my barber's like, "Do you feel okay?" I said, "I feel great, actually. I feel energized. I feel more excited than I felt about this election since, the campaigns began. I love the fact that this is truncated into 3 months. The British do it like I think theirs is something like 6 weeks or something. We should do that. This is so fantastic. We get this little window to get super excited, get to know these people. Anyway, um, back to partying, getting people together is so important to me. It's great that we can do these Zooms, but coming out of the pandemic in particular, and everybody knows that we're in this time of unprecedented loneliness. It's a creepy, weird time for people. And having people over or encouraging somebody else, if you don't have the space to entertain, to get a group together like you would have an Oscar party or something like that. But I'm going to go to a debate party. I'm going to a politically oriented thing this Friday evening. I'm super excited about it, right? You get to meet new people, you get to have healthy discussions, and you can discuss um, uh, things with people of differing opinions, views, and what have you. So that's going to be exciting. Um, a couple of things to go over though when you're planning your parties. I am speaking to you as someone who doesn't. I'm not a meat eater and I'm not a drinker. So please, pretty please, have options for people coming to your party that are not meat and non-alcoholic, and not even for people who aren't drinkers, but like some people are taking a break, right? So have options for people who are taking a break from the meats and the drinks. I love a sparkling water. Cheers. And and then also playlists. You're gonna want a playlist before like the debate starts or before the returns come in. I recommend anything from Marvin Gaye. That's always a safe bet. If you're not savvy in the kitchen, like I'm not, entertaining to me would mean I am ordering out and I'm going to plate it and make it look like I prepared it. It's going to be Chinese. Everybody loves Chinese. Chinese cuisine is something for everyone, or Tex-Mex. I'm not fancy. Like if someone said we're having Chipotle delivered, I would be jazzed. That's how basic I can be. So listen, if you tell me that you're having a party that involves the Kamala moment, because I am all wrapped up in it, we're having a party that involves the Kamala moment, that you're going to have beverages as well as spirits, fine, something for everyone, vegetarian options and snacks, a little Marvin Gaye, maybe some Springsteen, something very American that feels really good. And we're going to get involved in this Kamala moment. I'm all in. So get together. I encourage everyone to get together. Either you host, encourage your friends who have the apartment or the house to host, and get people physically in the same space, because it's just, we're social creatures and we need that kind of interactivity. And this is such a special moment in our country, that is so worthy of celebrating. I'm not worried about this moment. As I said, to circle back to how I started, and then I'll wrap it up. I'm not worried about this moment. I'm excited about this. This is something to celebrate. This is going to be a healthy discourse, because the people on the other side really don't have anything. And the Kamala table, the blue team here, we're the fun table. We know how to tell stories. We got some moves on the dance floor. We know how to tell a joke without being mean. You know what I mean? They don't. So I'm watching Tim and Kamala, and they must be stumped over there. Like, I don't know how to do relatable. Like, I would hate to be on his campaign team, because looking at the joy and the mirth and all the, the convivial fun that they're having, and they've got a Beyonce tune, um, they must be lost. So anyway, have a party, get together. This is so much fun, and thank you so much for letting me do this.
Thanks,
Back to you,
Howard.
Liz.
I'm going to invite you to all of my parties. I think that's such a great point. It's like, we are the fun table. We have so much joy. We have so much to celebrate. And I think sometimes people can feel a little nervous about inviting friends over, inviting neighbors over. There is so much positivity in this campaign. This is about making people's lives better. This is about providing freedom to all people. So get out there, throw out your invitations. If somebody doesn't want to come, they don't want to talk politics, that's fine. But like, it's going to be a joyful experience.
And also, just to punctuate it, and then I'll shut up. But like, we're the fun table. and everyone's invited. This is not an exclusionary. I love how they say like, Hollywood elites, cultural elites, coastal elites. Not really. Everyone's invited. Everyone's invited. Come on in. Let's all have fun together.
We
Yeah.
are a big tent here at the Democratic Party. Thank you, George. Can't wait to party with
Thank
you.
you.
On the note of making politics fun, we want these parties to have pizzazz and something that gets people talking. And a fun way to do that is, can we bring up some of our signature cocktails or mocktails that are going to fit the theme? So this week we asked for submissions for Harris Walls themed cocktails. And here are some of our favorites. So congratulations to winner Sarah Contrell, who came up with the Pina Kamala, served in a coconut, of course. I have been searching for a coconut all over town to make my drink in. I didn't find it, but maybe by the end of the call. Sarah, you win a Women Wednesday t-shirt. And we have some fun Kamala coconut rum. These are all recipe cards that we're going to send out to you guys. And I think we have some more, right? We do the next slide. The spicy Kamala Rita. I suggest that one, adding some mezcal to give it a little more complexity and depth, just like our nominee. And then we have the swing state that's purple. Get it? So if you live in a swing state, make that one. So Sarah, you win a Women Wednesday t-shirt. Shout out to the other people that created these. We're going to be posting more of them on our social media. So we're going to be emailing out these recipe cards, and we'll be tagging you when we post it on social media. So thank you for everyone who participated. And our next guest now is no stranger to a political house party, having served in the U.S. House of Representatives since 2013. I'm sure he could write a book on the science and the art of a good fundraiser. Representative Eric Swalwell, representing California's 15th congressional district. He is known for his focus on national security and technology and progressive reforms. He's an advocate for issues like gun control and climate action. And you may remember him as one of the impeachment managers from Trump's second impeachment trial. So many to keep track of. Welcome to the party, Eric.
Hey, thank you for keeping the party going.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot of work to do, and I'm just so grateful that you all continue to do it. And I'll just say what excites me is that you all are bringing, obviously, you're setting the stakes as to what matters. You're giving us agency as to what we can do to try and make a difference, but you're having fun, and that's so important. And I didn't know if I was a Republican or a Democrat when I was in college playing sports, and that was the only way I was able to be the first in my family to go to college. But the rule that we had on the team was the team that has the most fun is always the team that wins. And for the last couple of years, it hasn't really been fun. We had, President Biden with, a narrow victory, about 40,000 votes in 6 states, and then an even Senate. And the vice president was spending almost every day in the Senate to break ties. And thin majorities in the House, and everything was just razor's edge. And then, of course, over the last couple months, it just felt like we were losing grip of being able to, beat back, this MAGA movement. And now we've all been reinvigorated. And that's not to say that we are assured victory at all. That's not assured at all. And we're seeing the worst instincts from the former president come out, and it's only going to get worse and dirtier, and more claims of rigged process are only going to pollute who we're trying to persuade. But I wanted to join this call today because I wanted you to know that by showing up and by not just making phone calls and sending text messages, but actually, as you said in the beginning, going door to door, putting your knuckles on doors in the 7 states that are going to be consequential, that matters. If it was only you doing it, I would say we probably don't have a chance. Thank you for wanting to do it. But it's not only you doing it. And if you look right now, there's 5,000 people who are on this Zoom. So when we collectively do it, that passion is contagious. That passion begets more passion from other folks. And so we didn't do that in 2020, and we narrowly won. And obviously there was COVID, and that was part of the reason we didn't do it. But in 22, we found that so many people had become accustomed to just text banking or postcard writing that they didn't know how to go knock on a door any longer, and it was much harder to recruit. And I promise you, we have to get back at the doors and to in-person organizing and mobilizing. And finally, I'll just say, why are we doing this? As a father of a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, I'm contractually optimistic on their behalf, but I'm also contractually responsible for what I do over the next 80 or so days, and the team that I build, with my friends and family and community to do it. And so when I think about that 7-year-old, 5-year-old, 2-year-old, will they be safe in their classroom? And can we end this era of mass shooter drills that they have to go through? Will the Department of Education exist so that, they can get the skills they need to compete in the 21st century? Will they be free to breathe clean air and be free to have affordable healthcare and be free to go to the polls and vote and have that vote counted? All of those freedoms are on the line. But most poignantly, a couple months ago, I was at a parade in my district, and I've never taken my kids to parades. I've tried to keep them out of politics, but my 7-year-old wanted to go with me, and we always pass out rubber duckies since I was a candidate. And when it was a single guy with no kids, passing out rubber duckies was probably kind of weird, but it was like a gateway to the parents by giving all the kids a rubber ducky with the campaign logo on it. And then it's in the house, and it's a way to remind them who you are. It was a lot better, I think, to have my 7-year-old helping me pass out these duckies. And we're going along the parade route, and he gives this little girl a rubber ducky, and she looks at it, she takes it, but the guy standing behind her, who I think was her father, looked at my 7-year-old and he said, "We're for Trump." And my little boy Nelson looked at the guy, looked at me, and then looked back at the guy and said, "Who's Trump?" And that's what I see as the opportunity here. We're all going to remember what we lived through, but out of the mouths of these babes, our kids, we have the opportunity that they will never live through and have a living memory of the consequences that he's put us through. So for their future, I'm all in, and I'm all in to go to the doors in person to make the case. And I'm just so grateful that you all are doing this. So you have an ally here, and thank you for the work you do.
Thanks, Eric. That is a new life goal, to make it so that people live in a world where they don't know who Trump is.
Exactly right.
Amen to that. Now for the brass tacks of our call, I'm excited to hand it over to Leah Greenberg, co-founder and executive director of Indivisible. She's got a toolkit, she's got games, ways to talk to your neighbors. I'm so excited for your presentation tonight, Leah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, George, and Rep. Swalwell. I just want to say, as the mom of 2 toddlers, I can't support enough that vision of never having to explain to my kids that Donald Trump is currently the president. I am here to talk about the action step for this week, which is going to be how to host a house party. And I've got my coconut. I'm ready to get into this with you. So let's start with the first slide. We're going to talk about, before we get into this, why are we hosting a house party, right? It's not quite voter contact yet, which I know is what brought a lot of people in and what people are very excited about. But a house party is a really important opportunity. Social events are this chance for people who might not yet be politically engaged to dip their toes in the water politically. They are attractive, they're fun, they're a low pressure ask to people who might not be comfortable first showing up to a real volunteering ask. They're an opportunity to solidify your community and bring in some new folks who might not yet know that they've got a local organizing home. And they create this just great environment for people to get amped up and for you to get them to commit. Convention programming is designed to get people excited, right? You are going to get together, you are going to have a good time, you are going to watch Kamala's speech, you're going to be watching history together, right? This is a moment that you're going to tell your kids about, and you've got an audience after that who is ready to ride together. So that is incredible. That's why it's an opportunity. Now, how do we plan the party? Let me say first, we're gonna have a full toolkit for you. I think it's already in the chat. So all of the stuff that I am gonna say is written out in very exhaustive detail in that link. We will send it out to you afterwards as well. If you're the kind of person who likes to take notes on a call, go for it, but we're gonna have it all for you to follow step by step. But I'm just going to talk a little bit about, the basics, right? So first, you're just going to decide to have the party, find a location. get it registered with us. There's a few reasons why we ask you to do this. First, we want to know who's doing what and where. That's really important information to have. And we want to be able to tell people that there is so much excitement out there for Kamala, right? How much, like, the numbers matter there. Two, if you register with us, we can actually reimburse some of your party expenses. It's in the toolkit, but we can kind of help you a little bit with support for the party. Three, if you want to get more people to come, you're looking to build out a network of people locally who are all in for Harris, we can help. There is an option as you register to make your event public. And if you do that, we can let friendly Kamala supporters, people from our email list, people from the Answer the Call Zoom who signed up, those folks know about it so that they can join in your area as well. All right, so that's about registering. Now, next, assign roles and ask people to help. This is both so that you have a later load and also so that a lot of people are invested in the party, right? So, figure out, what do you need? Do you need somebody to greet people? Do you need somebody to get everybody all hype and posting on social media? Do you need somebody to just check that the tech is working and that everyone's going to actually watch the speech at the time that it starts? Get those roles assigned out. Send a wide list of invites. This is a great opportunity for a big community of people to get together. So friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, it's just an opportunity to reach out to people who maybe are feeling the same level of excitement you are. And then finally, to George's point, try to make sure that things are accessible and share that information ahead of time. So if it's, there's stairs to get in, if you've got pets that people might be allergic to, safety parameters around masking, and as George mentioned, having available options for people who might have dietary needs or might not be drinking themselves. That's all the kind of stuff we do to make our events really inclusive and welcoming to everyone. All right, next slide. At the party. So first, you are going to have fun because this is going to be incredible. This is going to be a moment that we're all part of collectively that is making history. So first of all and foremost, have fun, but also socialize, get to know some of those people, get to talk to them, learn a little bit about what they might be interested in doing, and how politically involved they are. What do they need to get more involved? Watch the speech. Play bingo. We have inside of our house party or our house party kit a set of games that you can play. We have gone ahead and assembled a bingo card for you. We have got the cocktails set of mixes. We got a lot of things for you to do to just make your party fun and on theme. And then most importantly, make your ask. So this is an event that is designed to funnel people into action. And we want to make sure that those are thoughtful, targeted actions that you're comfortable moving people into. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, your ask for folks who are in a battleground state or district. This is Senate, House, or the presidential states. That's a lot of places. Not everywhere, but a lot of places. We're going to ask for folks to join Neighbor to Neighbor, which is our tool for having conversations in your neighborhood to help turn out the vote. And help turn out close Democratic-leaning voters. I'm going to turn it over to a cute little video while I take a sip of my cocktail to explain exactly what that is and how it works.
With so much at stake this election, getting out the vote has never been more important. That's why we're excited to announce Neighbor to Neighbor, a program designed to make talking to your neighbors about voting quick and easy. Here's how. Once you sign up, we'll send a list of 10 Democratic households near you, a short script, best practices, and an optional printout to leave if they aren't home. Then, just knock on those neighbors' doors and remind them to vote. It's simple, and we know it works. When academic researchers ran experiments of different voter contact strategies, door-to-door canvassing was the most effective method for increasing voter participation, generating one additional vote for every 16 contacts. Hearing from a trusted neighbor is up to twice as effective as hearing from a stranger. So let's do this. Make a difference this election. Talk to your neighbors. With so much at stake this election.
And we were going to want to pause that. Great. Awesome. So just to recap, if you are in one of those battlegrounds, you sign up, or your folks at your party sign up, we give them 10 households with Democratic-leaning voters who have irregular voting records, and they go start having conversations. It's designed to be something you can do on your own schedule. It's designed to also be an on-ramp to more voter contact conversations, right? Because you're having conversations in your neighborhood, You can have them kind of in a piecemeal fashion that can be like a little bit more intimidating for folks who might not have done their first canvassing shift. And it's also designed to be something and what we find is that because you're able to identify yourself as a neighbor, people are more likely to listen to you and to take you seriously. One of the most powerful forces that we have when it comes to turning out voters are these kinds of ties, right? Creating the sense that your neighbors are voting, that they care if you vote too, that you're part of a community together. What we hear from people who do this is that they both are making an impact. They know that they're here talking to people who might not have otherwise gotten out to vote, but that they also actually really value the chance to get to know more of their neighbors. So that is Neighbor to Neighbor, and we're asking you to help folks sign up for that as an important on-ramp to taking action. Now, here's a slide that explains where you can access Neighbor to Neighbor. Now, if you do not live in a district that has, or district or state where we've got a battleground race, we're going to be asking you to join a letter writing party or a phone bank. And we are going to be dropping a link in the chat, or dropping a whole set of links in the chat with different options for how to set up a letter writing party, or how to set up a phone bank, or how to join an upcoming phone bank. What we want to make sure is that wherever you are, or whatever option is the best for your group, that you're making sure to plug folks into an action within the next week, because we want to take advantage of this enthusiasm. We want to capture it. We want to harness it. And we want to make sure it transitions right into conversations with voters and outreach to voters that is ultimately going to help us win this thing. All right. And that's that. Liz, I think you might.
I was on mute, sorry. Classic. Leah, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. I hope everyone was taking notes. We're going to be sending out more of those resources in our follow-up. And I think it's just super powerful to message to people that trust you. I mean, we know, right, that trust in mainstream media and traditional forms of voter information is down. And so the people that these persuadable voters are going to listen to are their neighbors. So especially if you're in a swing state, and even if you're not, make sure you're taking advantage of those resources. So our next guest tonight is the Honorable Gina Ortiz Jones. She served as the 27th Undersecretary of the Air Force, the second highest civilian in the Department of the Air Force. She made history as the first woman of color and the first out lesbian to serve as the Undersecretary of any military department. And she recently established the Find Out PAC to oust 3 GOP Texas Supreme Court judges up this November over their decisions attacking reproductive freedom. Gina, thank you for being here. And as Governor Walz taught us this week, the importance of greeting all of those who have served in the armed forces with 7 simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
Yeah, Liz, thanks so much. Let me actually start my comments there, if you don't mind, as a proud veteran that served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and really knows the importance of thanking anybody who's courageous enough to say, I'm going to support and defend the Constitution. So, I also grew up in San Antonio, which is Military City, USA. So when I was actually thinking about some of the comments I would share tonight, and it was on the topic of a house party, I think what has always been, part of successful house parties that I've attended or helped organize has been around anchoring it in what is authentically important to that person that is organizing it, right? Whether I was in rural West Texas, or even these days, as we are frankly in Texas living through some of the worst of these attacks on reproductive justice. And I think of all of this really in the context of national security. I know most folks have not read the most recent national security strategy, but really the last 6 words of that thing are the most important, which is there's no time to waste. And if there's no time to waste, we need the best leaders. That is Vice President Kamala to be our next commander-in-chief. And we need good folks up and down the ballot that will support and defend the Constitution, and certainly not degrade the service of those that have served honorably, those that are currently serving, and certainly their families. So I think it's unfortunate that the other side doesn't have anything to talk about other than to call veterans suckers and losers, which is why they unfortunately choose to attack Tim Walz. But again, we are the inclusive party. We are thankful for those that have served, because again, we know how important our example is. I think if folks might be thinking, how do you go from national security to find out PAC? And for those that are questioning, yes, find out PAC is based on the very scientific concept of F around and find out. And this really started after the Texas Supreme Court decision earlier this year, if you remember the Kay Cox decision, where essentially the Texas Supreme Court said these folks, this woman is not close enough to dying. And so when I think again about organizing these house parties, yes, we need federal protections for reproductive rights, and that's only going to come with Vice President Harris and with the Vice President Tim Walz. We know that. But in Texas, which is the epicenter of this issue, we are reading it in our headlines every single day. We cannot become numb to this. We also have to help folks understand that we've got to vote that whole ballot, right? That whole ballot, because there are different consequences for us as Texans or in a different state based on who is sitting on that Texas Supreme Court and really the playbook that they have written to attack reproductive rights. I mean, we're a state that had a 6-week abortion ban in place, no exceptions for rape or incest for almost a year before Roe fell, right? So we need federal protections, and we know Vice President Kamala is the one that's going to deliver that. So Find Out PAC is what I have started. And if you're, here's my shirt. I'm going to move my camera down real quick so you can see it. Everybody versus the Texas Supreme Court. The message is really simple. But again, when we think about what our future needs to look like for everybody, it needs to look like one where everybody has agency to make decisions about whether or not they want to start a family and how they choose to do so. Because again, we don't have time to waste, as that security strategy says, which also means we don't have talent to waste. So thanks so much for letting me say a few words, and I hope good luck in organizing your parties, which are so, so important. I know firsthand as a former candidate how important those are to really making people feel like they found their folks. They're going to help them, frankly, seek certainly the state, but also the country that we deserve. So thank you so much. 83 days, right? Let's go.
That's right. Let's go. I think that really resonates with me, the message of authenticity and making the political personal and using these house parties as a way. Sometimes people are thinking, what am I going to talk about? I'm not a policy expert. How am I going to talk about reproductive issues? You don't need to be a policy expert. You can tell a personal story. You can tell a story like my friend Brittany, who lives in Pennsylvania. She runs the account PA Moms for Change. Go follow her. And you can hear her tell the story in her own words. But to paraphrase, a few months after the Dobbs decision, she had a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. She needed emergency surgery. And had she lived in Texas, they would have handed her a pamphlet on miscarriage, told her to go home, let nature take its course, come back when you're septic, and discharged her without treatment. Had she lived in Texas, she could be dead. There's news stories coming out. There's a new report that has come out chronicling the reproductive health journeys of dozens of women since the Dobbs decision has fallen. Read that, tell those stories, tell personal stories, and connect with people over that. And our next guest is someone who knows the political being personal very well. She is another powerhouse woman with a history of serving our country, Charlotte Clymer, a writer, communication strategist, LGBTQ rights advocate, military veteran. She writes about politics and religion and culture in her best-selling award-winning newsletter, Charlotte's Web of Thoughts, which is like the best name. And she was previously press secretary at the Human Rights Campaign and the communications director at Catholics for Choice. Charlotte, we are so thrilled to have you here. I love hearing you talk about politics and talk about your personal experiences. Thank you for your service and sacrifice, and welcome.
Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing?
Good.
You look fantastic, by the way. Your hair is just on point, I gotta say.
For you guys.
Yeah, it's excellent, I gotta say.
Thanks.
It's great.
It's a party night. Fun.
It is. It's a party night. We got to party it up.
Yeah.
So, well, folks, I am so excited to be here, and just thanks to Indivisible for really bringing us all together tonight. This series of doing this every Wednesday is fantastic. It's a great way to harness the energy that we're all seeing, which I love. So my name is Charlotte Clymer. Pronouns are she, her. I'm a writer and activist, and I want to talk to you all night about partying. And I'm going to be very partisan for a second, because I firmly believe that Democrats do have the best parties. It's just true. I will allow for nuance on most topics, but there's no nuance here. Democrats just have better parties. We are the pro-party party. Hands down, it's not even close. That's what we excel at, is partying. And as you're organizing your party, I think there are two things that usually come up with folks when they're first like walking into a political area, or they're wanting to do advocacy and they're not sure where to start. First thing, as Elizabeth alluded to, is that it can be intimidating, because you may feel like you have to be a policy expert, or if you were to be thrown up onto the desk at MSNBC, that you have to know everything there is to know. Y'all, I'm just going to be really real with you right now. Most of us don't know everything. I mean, some do, like, you know, President Obama and soon to be President Harris. They do seem to know everything, but most of us don't. Like, if you asked me about trade policy, I'd be completely out of my element. I really would. Right. So there are only a certain number of issues that I'm really knowledgeable about, and that's most of us. And the thing is, you don't have to talk about every issue area when you host a party. It can be a theme party. Maybe you want to do a party around paid family leave, or around restoring Roe. Maybe you want to do one about how to raise the minimum wage, or talk about housing as a particular issue. These are all valid issues. Don't ever feel like, you know, you have to be an expert in politics in order to rally people. In fact, it's the folks who usually don't have this robust policy experience that are often the best organizers, because they know how to talk to folks. They know how to meet them where they are, which is a good thing. That's an asset. Should be using that. Think of it a lot like a car, right? Like, you wouldn't, if you were trying to learn stick shift, you wouldn't get onto a highway immediately. That would be a very bad idea, right? You kind of take baby steps over time. You ask questions, you look them up, you talk to other people, and you kind of build that knowledge base. So definitely don't be intimidated by this. Second thing, I know a lot of folks want to reach out to their neighbors or their friends or their relatives who are more moderate, maybe more conservative, Republicans, maybe some Trump supporters in your neighborhood that you'd love to talk to about these things. It just feels intimidating, though, right? It may feel like there's it might be a waste of time. And I'm going to be real with you. With some people, it might be a waste of time. It's like a judgment call. But there might be some good openings. Listen, I am from the great state of Texas, like Gina Ortiz Jones, and I served in the military, and I go to church every Sunday. So I am certainly around my fair share of conservatives. And the thing is that there are so many conservatives out there who really do want to have good faith conversations, who really do want to sit at a table, talk about something honestly and proactively. I had a conversation with a married couple at a hotel in the 2020 election. It was the middle of the night. All three of us were in the lobby, and we were talking about anything but politics for about 20 minutes or so. And then they brought up the election, which honestly, I did not want to talk about in that moment. But they brought it up, and they wanted to know my thoughts, and we had a really good conversation. And I explained to them that the reason I'm not voting for Donald Trump is because he banned trans people from the military. And as a military veteran and as a trans woman, that really made me angry. And we had a hard conversation. The thing is, we have the best model possible for how to have those conversations. It's Vice President Harris, who has spent her career meeting people where they are, inviting tough conversations, embracing discomfort as a gift, and making sure that people are heard, but also that you're assertive in your values. These are all things that are doable, I promise you. But if you don't try, you're not going to get better at it. If you don't organize that party, if you don't organize that brunch with folks in your neighborhood, if you don't organize that barbecue to talk about paid family leave, you're not going to get better at it. You have to make mistakes. You have to go out there and put a little skin in the game in order to get better at rallying people and getting them involved in democracy. That's just how it goes. Discomfort is a gift. The more you embrace discomfort, the more you grow as a person and the more you grow as an advocate. So here's what I would encourage you to do. Think about how you got into this race. Think about why this election is so important to you, whatever issue it is, and then focus relentlessly on that. Try to figure out how to bring people into the fold, have some fun, and then galvanize them to action. Get them to block walk with you. Get them to go to a phone bank with you. Get them to do an online phone banking with you. Anything goes. It really does. As long as you're getting people into the struggle and into the election and having them engage in advocacy, that's what matters at the end of the day. That's how we win. So thank you all so much. Make sure your parties are a lot of fun. And by the way, you yourself should have fun. Have fun with this. This is a great moment in our country's history. We should be enjoying every second of it.
Thanks, Charlotte. It is exciting, right? Like we're gonna look back on this and be remembering what we did each one of these weeks. Write it down, tell it to children in your life one day, read it when you're 80. Like this is a fun, historic time, and I just like the point that you put on that.
And we're going to remember this forever. The first woman president. We are going to remember this for the rest of our lives. We should be looking around every day for 5 minutes, being like, oh my God, look at what we're doing right now. This is incredible.
We're living through history. Heather Cox Richardson said last week or 2 weeks ago on our fundraiser, she was like, there are going to be thousands of books written about the last 2 weeks, which were the weeks between the attempt of the assassination.
You mean the last 2 years?
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, just those 14 days. So it's been a lot. We are living through history at a rapid pace. I'm ready for it to slow down a little bit, but not yet. So thank you so much for that. And I just want to say, as you were speaking, it made me think that it takes practice, like to be able to do this, to be able to speak like an advocate or an activist. So think of these parties as practice, and each one, it gets easier. Like I talk politics all day long. I have no formal background in politics, but as a kid, we always talk politics at the dinner table. So start that with your kids and use that as your practice round before these parties. Teach them how to present an opinion and talk about things that impact their lives and they care about. It's an important skill to have. And so practice that as a family or with your close friends, with your action team, and listen to smart people like our next guest from my home state of Illinois, a congresswoman who I'm a big fangirl for, Representative Lauren Underwood. She has represented Illinois' 14th congressional district since 2019 and is one of the youngest Black women elected to Congress. Representative Underwood focuses on healthcare, particularly expanding access and affordability. She has a background in public health and a commitment to practical solutions. She aims to improve the well-being of her constituents and tackle pressing national issues. I'm so excited to be joined by her tonight. Welcome, Lauren. Welcome to the party.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be on with so many friends, so many advocates, people who are fired up to win this election in the next 83 days. This is incredible. So listen, I'm here to talk to y'all about house parties, how house parties can be a tool for winning. I just want to say from the beginning, I love winning. Okay, I love winning, and it's so fun to bring people together to work towards a common goal, a common cause. And if there's good snacks, I mean, if you can get some taco dip, if you can get some brownie bites in the mix, I mean, how is it not a good time? And so what we did in the 14th District of Illinois is we had house parties multiple times a week, all across my community. And we would have real talk. I mean, I like to keep it real all the time. And the rule for me is if you get me talking after 30 minutes, we're really going to keep it real. And that is the power of the house party. You can have that kind of straight talk about issues that are really important and then do some skill building. Right? So we can pick a neighbor and practice having that conversation that we'll take on the doors. We can talk about how you sign someone up and literally go through the forms together. I mean, the house party kind of gives you that forum to do the work and to get comfortable. I heard Charlotte's conversation about not needing to be an expert, and I really want to lift that up because these are opportunities to practice, to learn, to get the clarification that you need, because the Harris Walls campaign is a people power campaign. So there's no like wrong answer here, right? We are the engine that makes the campaigns run, but that house party is sort of that nucleus of activity. It's where we come together, that's our home base, and then we can part and go forward with one another, confident that we are going to win because of our collective efforts. So I just want to say that. Now, we are trying to do something really important here in the House of Representatives. And in the next 83 days, yes, we're going to elect our first woman president. Yes, we're going to hold the Senate, but we are going to flip the House. And when y'all have your house parties all across the country, that literally helps us take care of business. We have so many competitive congressional districts, and they are outside of these key battleground states at the presidential level. So this is an action that we all can take towards our collective victory, because you know what won't happen? If MAGA Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House, when we have President Kamala Harris, do you think that we're going to be able to defend our freedoms? I mean, really? I mean, this guy is sitting there cheering on JD Vance in these weird comments, okay? So, we know what we have to do together. And the House Party enables us to power all of our campaigns, from the presidential all the way down ballot. And at the end of the ballot in Illinois are our judges, which are no less important, right? But we all can work together, running for federal, state, local office, to make sure that as volunteers, as advocates, as activists, we are united, we are prepared, and we are ready to win. So, listen, if any of y'all are on this call, because there's 4,000 people, so I know we got some Illinois folks on this call. Y'all can invite me to your house party, and you won't have to twist my arm if you have one of those 2-cent snacks, because I will show up. I will pass a plate. I know how this works. We do potlucks in Illinois. I know we have folks from across the country, but ladies, you know what's up. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing the work and leading the charge. Thank you for being the change that we all want to see. And I know that we are going to celebrate together when we crack this glass ceiling. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Lauren. We actually, I know, have some upcoming invitations that Representative Underwood is hopefully going to grace us with her presence at. So if you live in Illinois, stay tuned, follow Lauren on social media, follow me on social media, and you will get to party with Representative Underwood. And that sounds like a good party. And I love what you said. I love winning. So that's a great theme for a party. I also love the idea of a flip the house party. And also, when you talked about the idea of kind of role playing tough convos, actually on a future call, we're going to have some people who are maybe actors by trade who are going to show us how to have those convos. So stay tuned for that on a future call. We have a lot of fun stuff in store for you guys. So we have been talking a lot about the convention and having a convention watch party next week, but I want to dive a little further into why next week is so important. And so here to close out this evening with a little cocktails and conversation with me is Jessica Yellen. She is a Peabody, and Gracie and Emmy award-winning political journalist. She is the past chief White House correspondent for CNN. After decades in legacy media and after speaking to voters in swing states, Jessica decided to make a pivot and to deliver news, not noise, via social media and her highly successful newsletter, which is aptly titled News, Not Noise. And it's dedicated to giving you substantive, succinct information on stories that impact your life. And you accomplish this goal of giving us a better sense of understanding, and most importantly, the confidence to then go talk about and engage on those big issues. So Substack is how I get all my news. So Jessica, you are basically my Walter Cronkite, and a very exciting night for me. So hi, welcome. And can I dive into some questions?
Please go for it. I'm so happy to be here. Yes.
Thanks. So this is so exciting. In about 4 or 5 days, the entire Democratic political ecosystem is going to descend upon my home city of Chicago, and it's going to be madness. So maybe we can start by providing everyone with a little groundwork. Let's start with, what is the purpose of the convention?
Sure. So a convention is a huge gathering for the party to celebrate and rally behind the candidates. These days, it's largely a ceremonial event. Think of it like a big, well-produced party to introduce the candidates and their message, to speak to voters, and to do it all around the filter of the media. So there are a couple of goals for a modern convention and for next week's. One is to really just unite the party and energize activists like everyone on this Zoom, and just get you feeling like even more pumped than you already are and clear on what the messages are and psyched to go out and convince voters to vote. There's a very big emphasis this year on introducing the nominees because of the unusual way that they ascended to the nomination and the short time frame. There's an even bigger than usual need to sort of do the biographical explainers of who they are, where they came from, what are their values. A big piece is to speak to persuadable voters, both with the message of the campaign and the introduction, and also to just satisfy the media and tell the media what, the campaign's all about. And then finally, behind the scenes, the stuff you're not going to see on TV, because all that's going to be on TV. It's a massive schmooze fest of activists and donors and celebrities and electeds you can imagine.
All right, I'm ready to schmooze. So we know we're going to hear a little bit about the background and kind of origin stories of Vice President Harris and Governor Walz. Who else will be there? What else should we expect to see? You know, I know we'll expect to see them Thursday. Well, we'll definitely expect to see the VP Thursday. What are we expecting for the other couple of nights?
So first of all, I just want to say I have written a newsletter explainer that breaks all this down, and it's linked in chat. If you want to just look at that, there's a little more detail there. What we are going to see is first, the biggest stars in the Democratic Party. So Monday night, President Biden and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. That's when Biden will kind of do the official sort of ceremonial handoff to the vice president. And it'll be expected to be very emotional. One expects like a huge round of endless standing ovation for him. So that'll be a poignant night. On Tuesday, former President Barack Obama is speaking, and they're trying to work up a little magic that night. While President Obama is speaking in Chicago, they're planning to have Governor Walz and Vice President Harris rallying in Wisconsin, maybe even in the very convention center where the Republicans held their convention. So imagine that full of people. It's kind of a troll, right?
Totally.
So President Obama doing his speech tosses over to Walz and Harris and Walz doing their thing. You know, we've got 2 convention halls filled would be the message. Then Wednesday, you'll see vice presidential nominee now, Tim Walz speak. Bill Clinton is also that night, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Basically, you have these other people on the lead up, and then it ends with Walz on the end. And then Thursday is Vice President Kamala Harris. You also should expect to see other big stars from the party, rising stars, performances from a lot of celebrities, and also an opportunity to see some of the new young talent in the Democratic Party. I'll remind you that in 2004, a young state senator electrified the party with his speech. That was then Senator Barack Obama, who really introduced himself at that convention. Oh, and I'll just say one other thing. I've included links to that schedule and how to watch. So if you're not sure how you can actually stream this, it's going to be on TikTok, Instagram, every platform. And I've included links in that explainer.
Awesome. What is your under/over on whether you think Beyonce is going to perform on Thursday?
So, okay. Well, these are the big surprises. I mean, the big unknown is, will Beyonce perform and will Taylor Swift make a surprise appearance and show up? And the dream scenario is, would they perform together? This is based on pure speculation and the fact that Taylor seemed to have an Easter egg of endorsing Kamala Harris, but who knows? She's in London. People have done the math. She could fly in.
My heart started racing when you said that. Like I feel like I'm feeling pretty confident about Beyonce. If it were the 2 of them, I think I would simply die. That is going to be so fun though. Is it Tuesday or no? Is it Wednesday that they're going to have like the duel going on with the Wisconsin rally?
My understanding is that it's Tuesday, but let me double check that because I think it's the night Obama speaks.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have to confirm that.
Oh yeah, because then if Walz is speaking on Wednesday,
the next night,
he can't be in 2 places.
It would be hard.
I
and
feel
the
like
other
that
thing,
is so it's just like trolling is the best word for it. It's like we packed these 2 convention centers. We're here at our party's convention. We're in a swing state. Everyone is excited. I mean, that's like, it's going to be wild. And it's really indicative of the way this campaign has been. Like Kamala HQ on all the social media is just like, it's ratchet and I love it.
I know it can give some crowd size anxiety to the other party, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'll make one other point, which is they don't get as much headline notice going in, but sometimes the most impactful and powerful speeches are when they have regular Americans speak about some of the crises or issues that are facing them that are most important in the election. If you think back to past conventions when Gold Star families talked about what it meant to be a veteran, when you've had people struggling with economic anxiety, these are the poignant moments when Democrats do a very good job of sort of selling regular their connection to regular Americans' struggles and promise for the future. And that's something else to look out for.
Yeah, making the political personal.
Right.
So a big thing you sort of touched on at the beginning, a big goal of the convention is to get a jump in the polls, a bounce in who knows about the candidate, what their favorability rating is. Can you talk about the convention bounce?
Sure.
And what that's been in the past and kind of what you expect for Kamala Harris?
Sure. So the bounce is just the idea that after a convention, after a week of nonstop positive coverage from the campaign selling its message, they leave with an increase in poll numbers and support nationally and in swing states. Positive media can change minds. The reality of convention bounces has sort of changed over time. Going back like in 1992, when Bill Clinton ran, he got an 8-point bounce out of the convention. His poll numbers went up by 8 points after that week. But fast forward to modern days, President Obama in 2008 and then Vice President Biden in 2020 got zero bounce. Their poll numbers did not rise after the convention. Now, why is that? It's because the electorate is so polarized now that so many voters have already made up their minds going in that there are fewer swing voters. So it means there's smaller margins and less maneuverability. But those were different campaigns. Those candidates were very known to the public. It's very different this time because introducing Harris and Walz to a lot of undecided voters could really make a difference. I think that one of the things you should think about, in addition to just focusing on like whether there's a bounce, is also the opportunity this is presented. We're at a stage in this cycle when you've noticed that the Harris-Walz ticket has gotten enormous positive media coverage. And you know what the media likes to do when they've been very positive for a long time? Go negative. When would they go negative? Right about now and next week. And so the timing of it means that the campaign's going to blow through that negative cycle with positive coverage that they're putting out. And that's a real advantage for the campaign. One of the reasons it's relevant for everyone listening is because one of the key ways they get that message out is through everybody who has a phone, a community, a social media presence at all. Individuals are now pushing those messages out around the media, and it's one of the key strategies for this campaign. And that's everyone here.
Yeah, very true. So for everyone listening, kind of think of yourself, like use this convention and all of that positive coverage that we talked about as a conduit to reach people that maybe are on the fence or maybe don't pay attention. And maybe this is the time to message that friend or relative and ask them what they thought of the speech, or are you watching tonight? And you know, we are all influencers, right? Everybody has a phone. You can use your social media, you can use your network. And I think it's really interesting for this convention in particular, because this is the first time social media creators have been credentialed at the convention. That shows that this election is a different ball game because of that factor, because of the Zoom factor and the social media factor and how prevalent it is, prevalent talking politics is on social media. And you were so emblematic of that. So can you just elaborate on what does that mean, being credentialed as are you credentialed as a creator?
Yeah, I've gone to a lot of conventions, but always as press back in the day when I was in legacy media. And this time I'm going as a creator. And it means that I have access to speakers and to the convention floor to do interviews, and I'll put it up on my Instagram, which is where I have my largest audience. And I'll just say I founded News Not Noise 6 years ago to reach swing women, because I learned as a CNN reporter, I was constantly interviewing swing women voters. People would say, oh, back at the base, oh, they don't care about the election. That's why they haven't made up their mind. As we all know, it's not true. A lot of that has to do with not having information that answers their questions. And my thesis was, if I give the information that answers these questions, women will make their voting decisions sooner. And that is one of the kind of fundamental thesis of all of this creator movement now, of all the creators that are out there, is that are attending the convention, is by giving people who are on their phone reaching their own audience access, they also can shape minds, change votes, and really impact the election. So it applies to those of us who are attending as creators, but the truth is you can do it on your phone from home. You just record the television and you too can reach an audience. It's really a fundamental change in what the media means now, and it empowers everybody who wants to make a difference in the election.
I love that. I want every person watching this convention from home to think of yourself as a field reporter and the people in your life as your audience. And that's powerful because, as I said before, people trust friends and family. They aren't going to have that same trust with somebody that they don't have a relationship with. They have a relationship with you and they will trust you. But I will also say that that can be intimidating because you might sometimes feel like you're going to get something wrong, or you don't know enough, or you're going to comment on something and it's not going to be exactly right. For me, your newsletter is like a toolkit that I use to inform myself and guide and feel like I can speak intelligently. So will your newsletter now be tailored for convention week? And can that kind of help us along through being our field reporter selves?
You're good at these questions. Yes, it will. So yes, so I've written this one explainer, which is linked here, that sort of walks through everything I just shared and a little bit more. And I've asked for you all to ask me questions. And it can be as basic as, and I just a super basic about the election, the campaign. People ask me, should I trust polls? How do I think of a poll? Whatever it is. And I'll start answering those throughout convention week and beyond. So you can use them however you want with your friends, in your house parties, or just to inform yourself. So when you talk to other people, you feel like you have the information on lock and you feel confident enough to have that conversation.
Good. And people should feel that. You're on this call, you've been paying attention. Have that ground you and have that be your confidence. You can email any questions that you have or anything that you'd like to submit and have this newsletter tailored to the things that you're wondering about. You can email us at allinforharris@indivisible.com. And Jessica, this was like a bucket list moment getting to interview you tonight. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for doing this work. I'm so excited to see you at the convention. And we will, I think we are really empowering people to be a messenger for this campaign, a messenger for the issues and the things that matter most to them. And thank you for arming us with the tools to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to everybody for what you do. It's awesome.
Thank you. All right, everyone. So that is our call for the evening. Big announcement is that we won't see you next week. We decided to take the week off because we keep saying we want you off Zoom and in real life. So to that end, spend the time that you had blocked on your calendar for this call, either having a party or preparing for the party on Thursday when we're going to have the big speech from VP Harris, the biggest night at the convention. So we will see you back here on August 28th. And we are right now redropping all the links in the chat with all the resources that we covered tonight. If you would like to make a house party a fundraiser, you can sign up to get a raiser link from the campaign. The campaign is also hosting an organizing call tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern with a preview of some house party trainings they're going to be doing. So make sure to tune into that. We're going to put the link to register in the chat. And I'm just going to leave you. Oh, we just went a little bit over, but I think we kept pretty good to an hour. I've really been loving to end with these little motivational speeches. I hope they've been landing for you. And so this is what I have for you tonight. This next phase of the campaign is going to be very hard. When we come back after the convention, it's go time. It's election season and it's going to be nonstop. And at times it's going to feel overwhelming, especially as you start to break through and message to non-political people or voters who are on the fence in your life. And when you get out of this kind of nice, safe, democratic echo chamber, it's going to get uncomfortable. And it gets exhausting. And I can tell you from experience, there are going to be times where you want to quit and just go back to watching Bravo or playing pickleball. But while we are on hiatus next week, I want you to think about this question because I hope that the answer to this question is what's going to power you through those moments of doubt. I want you to picture someone in your life under the age of 18, your children, your nieces or nephews, a friend's children, anyone in your life under the age of 18. Get their face in your head right now and think about when they ask you about the election of 2024, when they ask you what you did. We talked all tonight about how historic this is, how different this election is, how you should be writing things down in your journal, how important this is. When they ask you what you did, what will you tell them? So think about that for the next 2 weeks. We'll see you back here on August 28th, and we will make sure to give you the tools so that 20 years from now, you will be proud of your answer, and we'll make sure you can say, I did everything I possibly could. So good night, everyone. Thanks for being here. Cheers.